Twitter has announced it is cutting off President Trump's ability to post on the social media site permanently.
And they will be blocking the president on Facebook and Instagram indefinitely.
We have just gotten word former President Donald Trump has been indicted by a grand jury in New York.
Today, the Department of Justice unsealed the historic indictment charging a former president for the first time in history with federal crimes.
New charges today concerning the classified documents he took from the White House.
Grand jury in Georgia has returned an indictment in connection with former President Donald Trump's alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 election.
A grand jury in Washington, D.C. handed up the 45-page indictment accusing Trump of trying to overthrow the 2020 election results.
The United States is not Germany in the 1920s, but America in the 2020s does bear a striking number of resemblances, including the fact that there were contemporaries around the 20th century's most infamous dictator, Adolf Hitler, that are striking. He could invoke powers we've never heard a president of the United States invoke, potentially to shut down companies or turn off the internet or deploy the U.S. military on U.S. soil.
Donald Trump is campaigning on a promise to do what Richard Nixon was punished for doing.
Then he could write his pardon in advance and shoot visitors to the White House.
Yeah, he can shoot the First Lady, and maybe he's impeached, but nothing.
You think this is a vote about whether or not we still have democracy in this country?
It certainly is.
A vote for Donald Trump is unconstitutional, anti-American.
Well, he won't support and uphold the Constitution.
Dictatorship. Is that what we would have if we reelect Donald Trump?
I think it's a very, very real threat and concern.
Do you believe if Donald Trump were elected next year that he would try to stay in office beyond a second term? That he would never leave office?
There's no question.
You think he would try to stay in power forever?
Absolutely.
It's one of two things. There are either people in this country who actually crave a dictator Trump and a president for life who is Donald Trump, or they just don't believe he'll do it.
He will make himself into the Fuhrer, and he will make everybody raise their hand and salute him, Heil Hitler, because that's what he is. That's what he wants. He wants to, execute Mike Pence. I mean, he's got a hit list of people. He wants to throw everyone into Gitmo.
How realistic it is that Donald Trump would use violence to get back into office and to stay in office for life. Can you think of any Republicans who would resist if Donald Trump got in and then said, you know what, we're just not going to have the next election, I'm staying?
A dictator, a supreme leader, a monarch, a Fuhrer.
Make it illegal to run against him, to throw his opponents in jail, to shut down the media.
Similarities between Mussolini and Hitler and the use of the terminology like vermin and the drive that those men had towards autocracy and dictatorship. The difference, though, I think makes Donald Trump even more dangerous, and that is he has no philosophy.
Donald Trump will never leave office voluntarily. He just won't.
He's going to use the power of the Justice Department to persecute, not prosecute, but persecute his enemies.
Terminating the Constitution, arrest political opponents using the Justice Department, assassinate generals that weren't sufficiently politically loyal to him. He would decide what networks were on and what networks were not on. Shutting down this network, because I don't know. Doesn't like Joy Reid, I'm not sure.
Authoritarian intentions that Donald Trump has for a second term.
And watch the polls to protect the vote, which sure sounds like voter intimidation to me. What is left to really stop him from being what could be a borderline dictatorship?
Terminate the Constitution, jail political opponents, execute generals who were insufficiently loyal, mass internment camps, take networks off the air that are insufficiently loyal.
How could Donald Trump turn the military into a political tool?
Ordering troops to attack American citizens.
If Trump wins, which I do not believe will happen, let me just quickly say that. If in some scenario that were to happen, it would be the end of democracy in the United States.
Accuse your opponents of what you do.
Their tactic of projecting what they are doing onto their opponent.